Hey, it's Ed. Today I'd like to talk about an app called Polagone, I think that's how you say it, from a developer called Fingerlab. Now, they've got several excellent apps that they've released in recent months, and I have several of them, and they're fantastic. And this one is more recent, and I'm really starting to enjoy this app quite a bit. Now, what you see here on the screen is some sample projects that come with the app. I'll scroll down a little bit. And what you'll notice down here is there's little labels on these that like anim, meaning animated, and audio, meaning they're controlled by audio. It doesn't show it here, but these are also controlled by MIDI. You can animate these and control them with MIDI, which is what I'm going to show in the video today. So it's going to be just a brief introduction just to the MIDI features of the app, and I'll show you some of my own projects. So let's dive in. Let me go to my projects. I'm going to open this one right here. I've created a folder called MIDI Control. Got a number of projects, but this one right here I'm going to open up. And what you'll see is on the right side, there's all these settings that you can control in your image, the coloring, text, you can add text, you can choose a grid structure, and under each one of these labels is several more features, and these little A's that you see down here. See these little A's that appear to the right? That's a option that you can animate that particular control. Now you can't do too many things because it'll chew up the CPU. It shows you here at the bottom, in this case, 13%, but you can do quite a bit of really cool animations with just a little bit. So let me show you. Let me go full screen on this for a moment. I'm going to go back over here to AUM, and in AUM I've got an app called MMM loaded from GSDSP. It's a MIDI controller. I highly recommend this app. It's 100% free. It does all sorts of really cool stuff. And what I've got in here is I've got basically 3 parameters that I've set: text rotate, clone rotate right here, and hue shift. And these are 3 settings that I'm going to control from within this MIDI app right here and send that over to Polagone. And if you look here, you'll see I've got the output going to AUM source. You'll see Polagone there, but that's simply because it's running in the background. So let me jump back to Polagone and go back here into the menu. If we click down here under animation, second from the bottom or third from the bottom, you'll see here I've got those 3 items that I was talking about: clone array, rotation, clone array hue, and text rotation. These are settings that are buried underneath those settings I showed you before. And underneath these settings, any of these animation settings, you have time, audio, and MIDI. I'm just going to talk about MIDI right now because I don't want to get too deep. So there's 3 settings. This one, what you do is you tap this learn button right here. When you have your MIDI out coming in, it picks it up, and then you can adjust the strength, smoothing, the range, things like that. And I'm going to show you how it looks when I start it up. So I go back here to AUM, and I go back and I press this little power button in the upper right. You'll see those controls are rotating now. They're basically using 1, 2, and 3 down here. Our little LFOs got a map to these 3. That's just how it works with that app. Now if we go over to the app, you notice I've got my animation happening, and the rotation of the text is controlled by one LFO. It rotates it clockwise and counterclockwise. The rotation of the clone array, which is at the top here, that background that you see, those squares, that's rotating like multiple mirror images basically that I've rotated. And the last thing is the hue, clone array hue. So it changes the hue of the colors in this construction. And that's pretty much how it works. I'm going to just show you briefly some of my other projects that I've created here. There's so much you can do with this. I've just tapped the surface, and I'm not a real artist, so I'm just playing around here, but you can take a look at this one. This one also has some MIDI animation in here. I got the rotation. It's also got some audio control. So you can see as I'm speaking, you can see that the image changes, and you can change this to do different things. You can have it listen to the bass, mid, treble. It can change the colors, it can change shapes, all sorts of things. So that's a little brief touch on that use of audio. And let me go to some other ones real quick here. This is just an animation where what I've done is I've just set it to time. And you can control how fast the animation behaves. Let's go back to full screen, and you'll see here it's just sort of going through different evolutions of this pattern here. And let me just take you through a couple examples in my collection to show you different things. Let's look at this one. This one has both animation and audio, as you can see. As I'm speaking, you can see here that it has a time feature here, but on the portion that you see below, this one is listening to the sound. You can see it reacting as I speak. And let's go to a couple more. Here's a animated construction right here, just with one animation right there. Here's one where the animation is an LFO controlling the hue of the pattern that you can see cycling through here. Here's one that's got a little bit of an optical distortion with a little bit of motion to it, kind of a strange looking one. Here's an example of a factory project that's included, a sample project that's included. Here is another sample project. So I highly recommend that you take a look at this app in the description and see if you can find any other videos on it. Check the Fingerlab website and see what you think. Might be worth checking out. Thanks for watching.